contracted bride. The city skyline glimmered under the twilight, a sprawling canvas of ambition and secrets. In a modest clinic nestled in a quiet corner of the metropolis, Dr. Lily Chen sat behind her desk, her fingers tracing the edges of a worn medical textbook. At 26, she was a rising star in traditional medicine, her skills honed through years of study and a stubborn refusal to let her family's debts define her. But today, her thoughts were far from healing. A deal loomed over her, one that threatened to bind her future to a man she'd never met. Lily's phone buzzed, and she sighed, glancing at the message from her cousin, Clara Wu. $5 million, Lily. Marry him, and the debt collectors stop knocking. You can save the farm. The words stung, not because they were untrue, but because they were too real. The family farm, a legacy her late grandfather had poured his heart into, was drowning in loans. Clara, the self-appointed head of the Wu family since their grandfather's passing, had orchestrated this marriage to secure an alliance with the powerful Lin Corporation. The groom? Victor Lin, a man rumored to be frail, elderly, and on the brink of death. Lily's fingers tightened around the phone. She wasn't the type to sell her soul for money, but the weight of her family's expectations and the relentless debt collectors pushed her toward a decision she despised. "I'm not some pawn," she muttered, tossing the phone onto the desk. Yet the thought of her grandfather's dream crumbling forced her to reconsider. The deal was simple. Marry Victor Lin, play the role of the dutiful wife, and the Wu family's debts would be erased. The Lin Corporation would gain a foothold in the Wu family's struggling agricultural business, and Lily would secure a future for her clinic. As she closed the clinic for the night, a memory flickered. Her high school days, a boy with a crooked smile who'd promised her the world. Ethan Zhao, her first love, who'd vanished after a tragic accident that left her with scars and him with an uncertain fate. She shook her head, banishing the thought. Ethan was gone, likely married or worse. She had no time for nostalgia. The next morning, Lily stood before a mirror in a rented bridal suite, the white gown clinging to her like a lie. The dress was exquisite, a cascade of silk and lace, but it felt like a costume for a role she hadn't auditioned for. Clara stood behind her, adjusting the veil with a smug grin. "You look perfect, Lily. Just play the part tomorrow and the $5 million is yours." Lily's reflection stared back, her dark eyes defiant. "I'm not your actress, Clara. This is a wedding, not a performance." Clara's smile didn't waver. "Call it what you want. Get through tomorrow without a hitch, and the money's wired. Mess it up, and the debt collectors will be the least of your worries." Lily bit back a retort. Clara had always been manipulative, using her position as the Wu family's savior to control everyone around her. The marriage was her latest scheme, a way to secure the Wu family's future while tying Lily to a man she didn't know. The Lin family, desperate to stabilize their crumbling empire, had agreed to the union, but the details were murky. Victor Lin, the supposed groom, was a mystery. His health was failing, his age unknown, and his motives unclear. As Lily slipped off the gown, her phone rang. It was her grandmother, Mei Wu, her voice trembling with urgency. "Lily, you must convince your brother to reconsider. If he doesn't cancel this wedding, he'll refuse his surgery." Lily's heart sank. Her older brother, James Wu, had been battling a chronic illness for years. The marriage to Victor Lin was meant to fulfill their late grandfather's wish for an alliance with the Lin family. But James's health was deteriorating, and he couldn't bear the thought of Lily sacrificing her life for him. "Grandma, I'll handle it," Lily promised, though she had no idea how. Later that evening, Lily met James at the hospital. His face was pale, his eyes shadowed with guilt. "Lily, you can't marry into the Lin family. It's a life sentence," he said, his voice weak. Lily forced a smile. "It's just a contract, James. I marry Victor, save the farm, and we figure out the rest later. Besides, the Lin family needs this alliance as much as we do. Their company's on the verge of bankruptcy." James shook his head. "You don't know what you're signing up for. Victor Lin is old and dying, I know," Lily interrupted. "I can handle it." But James's expression darkened. "It's not that simple. The Lin family isn't what it seems." Across the city, in the sleek headquarters of the Lin Corporation, Ethan Zhao leaned back in his chair, his sharp features illuminated by the glow of his laptop. At 30, he was the youngest CEO in the company's history, a prodigy who'd risen from obscurity to save the Lin empire from collapse. Few knew his true identity. Ethan Zhao, the boy who'd survived a car accident that claimed his best friend's life and left him with migraines and fragmented memories. To the world, he was Ethan Lin, the second son of the Lin family, stepping in to fulfill his brother's obligations. Ethan's grandmother, Madam Lin, stood before him, her frail form radiating authority. "Ethan, you must marry the Wu girl tomorrow. Your brother's surgery can't wait, and this alliance is his only hope for recovery." Ethan's jaw tightened. His older brother, Michael Lin, was the intended groom, but his worsening condition had forced Ethan to take his place. The marriage was a strategic move, a way to merge the Lin Corporation with the Wu family's agricultural assets, securing both families' futures. But Ethan had no interest in marrying a stranger, especially not Clara Wu's cousin Lily, whom he'd never met. "I'll do it," Ethan said, his voice cold. "But only for Michael. After the wedding, I'm out." Madam Lin nodded, her eyes softening. "You're a good brother, Ethan. This marriage will bring good fortune to us all." Ethan didn't believe in fortune. He believed in results. And right now, the result he needed was to stabilize the Lin Corporation and ensure his brother's survival. The Wu girl, whoever she was just a means to an end. The wedding day dawned with a sense of impending chaos. Lily stood at the altar, her heart pounding as she scanned the room. The guests, a mix of Wu and Lin family allies, whispered among themselves, their eyes filled with curiosity and judgment. Clara stood nearby, her smirk barely concealed. "Don't mess this up, Lily," she whispered. $5 million. Think about it." Lily's hands clenched into fists. She wasn't doing this for Clara or the money. She was doing it for her grandfather's legacy, for James, for the farm. But as the officiant began the ceremony, a wave of panic hit her. The groom hadn't appeared. Whispers rippled through the crowd, and Clara's face paled. "Where's Victor?" Clara hissed, grabbing Lily's arm. Lily yanked free. "I don't know, and I don't care. I'm done with this charade." Before anyone could stop her, Lily bolted from the altar, her veil trailing behind her like a ghost. She ran through the venue's back exit, her heart racing as she flagged down a cab. "Drive," she told the driver, her voice trembling. "Anywhere but here." The driver, a young man with a familiar crooked smile, glanced at her through the rearview mirror. "Rough day, huh? Running from a wedding?" Lily froze. His voice, his mannerisms. It couldn't be. "Ethan?" she whispered, her breath catching. The driver turned, his eyes meeting hers. "Do I know you?" Lily's heart sank. It wasn't him, just a stranger with a similar face. "No," she said, looking away. "Just get me out of here." As the cab sped through the city, Lily's phone buzzed with furious messages from Clara. "You're throwing away everything, come back now." Lily ignored them, her mind racing. She wasn't going back. Not to Clara, not to the Lins, not to a life she didn't choose. Ethan, meanwhile, had skipped the wedding entirely. His migraines had flared up, a cruel reminder of the accident that had stolen his memories and left him with chronic pain. He'd driven aimlessly, ending up at a small traditional medicine clinic on the city's outskirts. The sign read, "Chen's Healing Arts," and something about it felt oddly familiar. Inside, Lily was tending to a patient when Ethan walked in. She froze, her heart skipping a beat. The man before her was tall, impeccably dressed, with dark eyes that held a storm of emotions. He wasn't the cab driver, but he looked so much like Ethan Zhao that it hurt. "Dr. Chen?" Ethan asked, his voice low. "I need help with migraines." Lily forced herself to focus, pushing aside the memories threatening to surface. "Take a seat," she said, her tone professional. "Let's see what we can do." As she examined him, her hands steady despite the turmoil in her heart, Ethan studied her. There was something about her, the way she moved, the quiet confidence in her voice, that stirred a memory he couldn't grasp. "Have we met before?" he asked, his brow furrowing. Lily's heart raced, but she kept her expression neutral. "I get that a lot. Common face, I guess." Ethan didn't push, but as she applied acupuncture and herbal therapy, he felt a strange sense of calm. For the first time in years, his headache eased. "You're good at this," he said, almost reluctantly. Lily smiled faintly. "I'd better be. It's my job." As Ethan left the clinic, he couldn't shake the feeling that he knew her. And Lily, watching him go, wondered if fate was playing a cruel trick, or giving her a second chance. Over the next few weeks, Ethan returned to the clinic regularly, drawn not just by the relief from his migraines, but by Lily herself. Their conversations were cautious at first, professional exchanges about his symptoms, but they soon drifted into personal territory. Lily learned that Ethan was the CEO of the Lin Corporation, not Victor Lin as she'd assumed. He was also the man she'd been meant to marry, though he didn't know it. The truth came out one rainy evening when Ethan arrived at the clinic unannounced, soaked from the storm. "I remembered something," he said, his voice raw. "A girl in a school uniform, laughing by a river. She looked like you." Lily's breath caught. "Ethan, it's me, Lily Chen. We went to high school together." Ethan stared at her, his memories flooding back. The accident, the girl he'd loved, the promises they'd made. "Lily," he whispered, stepping closer. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I thought you were gone," she said, tears welling in her eyes. "And then I was supposed to marry some old man named Victor Lin. I didn't know it was you." Ethan's expression darkened. "Victor's my brother. I took his place in the wedding, but I didn't know it was you either." They stood in silence, the weight of their shared past and present colliding. The marriage contract, the family pressures, the corporate games, it all faded in the face of their rediscovery. The revelation changed everything. Ethan confronted his grandmother, demanding the truth about the marriage pact. Madam Lin admitted that she'd orchestrated the union to save Michael and the Lin Corporation, but she hadn't known about Ethan and Lily's history. "It's fate," she said, a rare smile breaking through. "You two were always meant to find each other." Lily, meanwhile, faced Clara's wrath. "You think you can just walk away?" Clara sneered. "The Wu family needs this alliance." "I'm done being your pawn," Lily shot back. "I'm marrying Ethan because I love him, not because of your schemes." The wedding was rescheduled, this time with no secrets. Lily walked down the aisle, her heart full, knowing she was marrying the boy she'd never stopped loving. Ethan, standing at the altar, felt his migraines fade, replaced by a warmth he hadn't known in years. As they exchanged vows, the city buzzed outside, oblivious to the quiet miracle unfolding. The Lin Corporation stabilized, the Wu family's debts were cleared, and James's surgery was a success. But for Lily and Ethan, the true victory was their second chance. A love that had survived time, tragedy, and the weight of expectations. 6 months later, Lily and Ethan stood on the balcony of their new home, overlooking the city. The farm was thriving, the clinic was busier than ever, and Ethan's migraines were a distant memory. "You know," he said, pulling her close, "I always imagined our wedding, and it was exactly like this." Lily laughed, resting her head against his chest. "Better late than never, right?" As the stars blinked above, they knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they'd face them together, two hearts bound by a promise that time couldn't break.